You all for joining us tonight. It is Thursday night, and our topic for tonight is how to use projection as a tool to build a stronger relationship.
Mhm.
Yep. So let's dive right on in.
Yeah. So by default, most people tend to only project their shadow. And when you project your shadow onto others, basically you're seeing them as having the negative qualities that you often maybe deny within yourself. And this can lead to conflict, misunderstanding, and judgments. And it can also prevent us from forming healthy, strong, intimate relationships. So that's what we're going to get in tonight.
Yep. And projection is unconscious defense mechanism that allows us to protect our ego from uncomfortable or unacceptable thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So by projecting those things onto others, a person can avoid confronting them and feeling responsible for them.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what we mean by usually by default, people project their shadow, those unconscious mechanisms, right? So, for example, a person who is judgmental and critical of others may be projecting their own self criticism, or a person who is attracted to angry and aggressive people may be projecting out their own repressed anger and aggression. Also, a person who is afraid of intimacy may be projecting their own fear of abandonment onto others. And in particular, how we're going to get into this about relationships, if you are constantly, for example, blaming your spouse for your own problems, this is, an unnatural or unhealthy projection that we're going to have to learn to get into check and use this in a more positive way.
Yep. So projection doesn't have to just be a negative defense mechanism. It can be also used in a positive way to build stronger relationships. So when you choose to use projection as a positive tool in your romantic relationship, it will lead to increased understanding and compassion.
Mhm.
So when you are aware of your own projections and the projections of your spouse, you can develop a deeper understanding and compassion for each other. So you can see that your spouse's behavior is often, I'm sorry, where we at? Okay, I'm sorry, not often about you, but about their own unresolved issues. So it can
Mhm.
also improve communication as well. So positive projection can also help you to communicate more openly and honestly with your spouse. So when you are aware of your own projections, you can express your feelings and needs in a more direct and assertive way.
Yep. Also, positive projection can really help to reduce conflict in your relationship. In particular, what we mean by positive projection is being able to utilize projection in a positive way. So, when you are first able to identify and address the underlying projections that are going on, you are generally able to resolve your conflicts more effectively and certainly quicker than usual if you're not aware. Because, again, projections are all about those unconscious habits. So, this is going to be a very interesting topic, and I just want to check in. Thank you for joining in on us. This is a catch up from our last night. So we are excited to have all the people come on in and join us. But let's get on started. First, the first ways of, in general, how to use projection in a positive way to build a stronger relationship.
Yep. So number one, identify your own projections. So this is the first step of using projection in a positive way. You need to be aware of the things you project into others so that you can work on integrating them into your conscious personality.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So that in particular is talking about bringing awareness. We're really big on how in this channel, all we really like to do is to bring awareness to a lot of the issues because then you can be able to bring that into your conscious awareness and then work on changing that. So, in particular, the first step of being able to identify your own projection is, of course, to pay attention to your triggers. So, what are the things that make you feel angry, jealous, insecure, or even ashamed? All of these things are often clues of your shadow self, that dark unconscious behavior that is often repressed. So remember, your shadow self in particular is those unconscious parts of your personality that are your repressed traits or desires or the impulses that you may deny or reject them, maybe from childhood, maybe from previous relationships or any type of interaction that caused you to ultimately deny this aspect of yourself because you find them unacceptable or maybe even shameful. But in particular, you want to bring awareness to these things. So you really have to start doing little things like journaling. We always say journaling is a great way to become more aware about your thoughts and your feelings, because this is a nice safe space on a pen and paper, just you and your thoughts, being able to come into awareness of those unconscious patterns that your conscious mind may not really always recognize.
Yep, and also consider doing some shadow work with a professional help. They can help you to explore your shadow self in a safe and supportive environment.
Yes, shadow work, for those who aren't aware, is again addressing those dark repressed traits. And there are a lot of, this is energy work here. So there are a lot of professionals. We're not professionals on shadow work. I have done shadow work myself though, and it's a very deep process that you go through. So it's often very encouraged to have someone support you during this time, lead you through all those thoughts, certainly being able to help you to integrate, not just push down, those deep repressed thoughts. So, yeah.
And then next, it is important that you become more mindful of your language.
Mhm.
So the way that you talk about your spouse or to your spouse can reveal a lot about your own projections.
Yeah.
Because more aware of your own thoughts, become more aware of your own thoughts and feelings. Pay attention to the things that you criticize your spouse for, and ask yourself if you are doing the same things. Don't be a hypocrite. So, for example, if you are constantly criticizing your spouse for being lazy, it may be because you are lazy yourself. And if you are always accusing your spouse of being flirtatious, it may be because you are projecting your own insecurities about your attractiveness onto them. So if you are consistently putting your spouse down, it may be because you are projecting your own low self-esteem onto them. Another one is trying to control your spouse. So it may be because you are projecting your own need for control onto them as well. And another one is if you are always blaming your spouse for your problems, it may be because you are projecting your own responsibilities on them, or you're not wanting to take accountability. So it is important to note that not all criticism of a spouse is projection. So sometimes criticism is valid and warranted. However, if you find yourself constantly criticizing your spouse, it is worth taking a step back and asking yourself if you are projecting your own insecurities or issues on them.
Yes. You also should really look to improve your communication and understanding with your spouse. All of this will help you to reduce projection. We have a lot of videos that we have done on communication, so we certainly encourage you all to go back and check them out. But, just for our general top 3 tips when it comes to communication: one, always avoid using labels and generalizations. Those can get you into some trouble. Then also focus on the specific behavior that you are concerned about, not so much your spouse, right? You want to focus on the problem and not make the problem your spouse. And then use I statements when you're trying to express your feelings, your thoughts, and your needs. It's a lot better than just going in on saying like you, more so like, hey, I need this, or I feel this, or I think this.
Yep. And learn to be open to feedback.
Yeah.
And criticism. So if someone or your spouse gives you open feedback about your behavior, before responding, take some time to reflect on it and see if there is any truth to it. Don't be so hot-headed and then also trying to think of a comeback to what they are telling you. See if there's any validity in what they're saying and then address that. Also listen without judgment. So especially when the feedback is coming from your spouse, believe that they are genuinely trying to help you improve. So like I said, don't even think of a comeback attack on that person. Stick to the issues in the matter at hand. So to have a productive conversation, not an argument. So also to ask for clarification questions. Yes, this will help you to better understand the feedback and how you can use it to improve, and then also to understand your spouse.
Mhm.
Ask questions. Let them know that, hey, especially if it's heated, then hey, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but did you do this to, do this tonight or what have you? You get what I'm saying? So let them know that you're not trying to be a jerk, so you can talk them off the ledge, and so they won't be so fiery at you, and then so that you can really try to have a conversation to solve a issue. So listen to feedback without judgment can be difficult, but it improves skill. But it's an important skill to develop, very important, so that you can get to the end of a resolution and actually put it into place.
Yep,
So,
for sure.
yeah, so try to give feedback without judgment.
Yep.
That only sparks an argument if you do. So,
And practice. Lots of practice will help with that. So
yeah.
being patient with yourself and just utilizing those opportunities as a time to practice, right? Next, you want to, when your own projections in particular, when they reveal themselves in your relationship, you certainly want to take on this as an opportunity to build rapport with your spouse. So first, you have to, again, recognize that projection, what's taking place. And although this can be difficult, it is very important that you're honest with yourself. Hey, am I projecting in this moment in time? Is this something, that is actually an issue, or, is this something within me? Then you can go and talk to your spouse about those projections that you may be having. Be honest about how you're feeling and what you are projecting. This is really important. We always talk about being open, honest, and vulnerable in your relationship, because this is really the way to build trust and rapport within your relationship. So, for example, if you are projecting your own insecurities about your attractiveness to your spouse or onto your spouse, you could say something like, I've been feeling really insecure about, my appearance lately. Have you ever felt this way? Or, have you noticed that I'm acting this way? Anything kind of question to spark up conversation for them. This really just shows that you trust your spouse enough to talk to them about your insecurities, and that you're open to their feedback and hearing their perspective on it. Not so much, just attacking what you may think is an attack on you, when it's really just an opportunity to reflect back to yourself. Relationships are really all about, reflection and being able to see, hey, where can I work on things? Where can I improve on things?
Yep. Or if you are projecting your own responsibility onto your spouse, you could say something like, I've been blaming you for a lot of things lately. I'm realizing that I need to take more responsibility for my own actions. Have you ever experienced anything like that before?
Mm-hmm.
So this shows your spouse that you are willing to take accountability for your own actions, and that you are committed to improving the relationship. Accountability, that's maturity. That's a mature thing for people to do. And one of the hardest things is for people to admit that they're wrong and they're at fault.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next hardest thing is saying that they are sorry. So accountability goes a long way. And saying I'm sorry starts the healing process. So we're about to start talking about that next. So then start working on healing. So
Yeah.
the underlying issues, projections are often a way of coping with unresolved emotional issues. So if you want to stop projecting, it is important to work on healing these issues. This may involve individual therapy, couples therapy, counseling, etc., or both.
Yeah.
Etc. So once you are aware of your own projections, you can use this awareness to recognize where your spouse may be projecting and try to understand your spouse better. So, for example, if you are in a relationship with someone who is constantly accusing you of being dishonest, you know that you are not dishonest, but you're starting to feel hurt and frustrated by the accusations. Take this as an opportunity to consider the possibility that your spouse is struggling with the same things that they are accusing you of.
Yep. And then you could also take that time to, again, sit down with your spouse and have a conversation about those accusations. So in particular, for this example that you used, you can start by telling your spouse that, hey, I am feeling, hurt and frustrated by the accusations. Can you tell me why you think that I am being dishonest? This just offers you the opportunity to see the situation from their perspective. Because even though you do not agree 100% with their, projection per se, you are open to hearing their side of the perspective so you can start to understand them more. Then you should certainly start to ask them questions about their own thoughts and feelings. For example, maybe your spouse will tell you that, they've been struggling with dishonesty in their own life. Maybe, they had a previous relationship where they've been cheated on or something like that, and that they are worried that, you may do the same. You may cheat on them as well. This really, again, offers another opportunity for you to see, hey, this is where this projection is actually coming from. It's a fear of dishonesty. And it's not so much that I'm being dishonest to you, but that you're a little fearful of dishonesty in general because you don't want that to happen. Really utilize this opportunity as a chance to like reassure your spouse that, hey, I'm not going to cheat on you. I'm not, going to do anything that will cause you harm that has happened to you before. This, again, is building rapport within your relationship. And it's a great supportive moment to be able to offer them help to work through their own issues of dishonesty and fear of dishonesty or something like that.
Or if your spouse is projecting their own insecurities about their attractiveness onto you, you could also say things like, I know that you're worried about your appearance, but I think you're beautiful.
Mhm.
Well, I know you're beautiful. I love the way that you look. Don't say I
Mhm.
think. So when you understand your spouse's projections, you can emphasize with them on a deeper level.
Mhm.
You can understand why they see things the way that they do and why they behave the way they do as well. So this also offers the chance to be able to help your spouse heal from their own past wounds.
Mhm.
So it is important to also set boundaries with your spouse. So even if you understand their projections.
Yeah.
So this means letting them know that what behaviors are acceptable and unacceptable.
Mhm.
So setting boundaries can help to protect your own emotional well-being and create a healthier relationship.
Yeah, especially if they're doing like unhealthy, behaviors, like maybe calling names or like,
Oh,
constantly criticizing or something.
mhm.
That you certainly have to say, hey, that's unacceptable, but I get where it's coming from. Hey, this is an opportunity where you got to work on that, because you have to also protect yourself in this as well.
Yep, and so also use projection to resolve conflict. So
Yeah.
when conflict arises, it's important to be mindful of projections. So if you can identify the projections that are at play, you can start to address the underlying issues in a more constructive way.
Hmm.
So notice any patterns in your conflicts. So do certain topics or issues always seem to lead to conflict?
Hmm.
Do you and your spouse tend to argue about the same things over and over again? These patterns can also indicate that projections are at play.
You got to pay attention to that. Also, consider your spouse's past experiences. This is why we always say you guys got to talk about the things you've been through and really try to understand, what kind of childhood did your spouse have? What were their relationships like with their parents or their caregivers? All of that plays a huge part in understanding why they may project onto you certain things or even the triggers that they may have and, why they have those triggers.
Yeah. And we have a lot of videos on conflict resolution, rather. So we
Yeah.
encourage you all to check those out. But in general, remember to try your best to stay calm and collected during
Yeah.
these tough situations. So avoid taking things personally and focus on the underlying issues, not the projections.
Yep, that's big. Lastly, is one of my favorite things to do is to use positive projection in the form of visualization. So, you all should probably have heard of visualization sometime, in your life, I'm sure. But visualization is a great opportunity for you to project positivity into your relationship. So, for example, you can visualize your spouse's happiness. You can visualize their well being. You can imagine your spouse feeling loved, supported, and fulfilled. You can see them achieving their goals, their dreams. This type of visualization can really help create positive energy all around your relationship. And in particular, help to assist you when times are really hard and difficult, or even when your spouse is down. Just you being able to utilize your mind and your imagination, which is a higher faculty that God has given us to actually manifest within our life. So by utilizing this to help benefit your spouse, you can often really see how things may change around for them. And then of course, this is a way not to so much require that they change or be different, but it's just how you see them. You can see them in a higher light and hope that, they then align to that higher light. So that's a wonderful way to use visualization. Also, you can visualize yourself and your spouse communicating effectively. So, especially if you know that you're having a big old hard conflict that you need to talk about and you're a little nervous about it, take the time to sit back and see yourself resolving this conflict peacefully and constructively. You can imagine yourself communicating your needs and your feelings openly and honestly. This type of visualization, believe it or not, can really help to improve your communication skills and to strengthen your connection with your spouse, especially if you know it's going to be one of those hot topics and you're just really hoping that it goes well.
So visualize yourself and your spouse having fun together.
Yeah.
Imagine yourself laughing, playing, and enjoying each other's company. So see yourself creating new memories together. So this type of visualization can help to increase the intimacy and joy in your relationship.
Mhm.
And visualize yourself and your spouse committed to each other. So see
Yeah.
yourself supporting each other through thick and thin. Imagine yourself growing old together. This type of visualization can help to deepen your commitment to each other and strengthen the foundation of the relationship.
Yes, this is a great way to actually use projection in a positive way. So, for those who need a little help on this, again, visualization is a really simple thing that you can do. We can walk you through a simple exercise that you can do to practice positive projection in your relationship. For example, you want to make sure that you have a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and center your mind. And in particular, imagine yourself and your spouse just being in that happy space. Utilize that as a time to see yourself communicating effectively, like we were saying, resolving your conflicts, having fun together, whatever it is that you want to achieve, how you want your relationship to look, visualize that. And then take the time to really feel that love and that connection. I often say that feeling is the movement that can really help things come about, because it's actually putting yourself where you would actually feel in that moment in time. So you really want to make sure that you sit there and connect in that moment and feel this happy, loving space that you have for you and your spouse. And of course, when you're ready, it's so simple. That can be, it can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long you want to do it. Just, when you're ready, take the time, open your eyes and be done with it, and say, thank you for that moment and that it is done. I really encourage you to do something like that. Use that visualization exercise, especially whenever you need like a positive boost of energy or love within your relationship. It really does help create that positive, loving field around you.
Yep. So using projection in a positive way takes practice. So it
Yes.
requires awareness, empathy, and a willingness to be vulnerable. So, however, it is a worthwhile pursuit, as it can lead to a stronger, more fulfilling relationship as well.
Yep. Yep, that is true. Well, I think those are some really good tips, and I really hope that you have received some value from this and that you're actually able to then utilize projection in a positive way. Because, like we said in the beginning, it does not have to be a negative defense mechanism. You can really use projection in a positive way and help it to build your relationship, help you connect with your spouse, and really understand them better. So, yeah, thank you all for joining us tonight. We're going to check on in. Oh, is the comment. That's funny. Yeah. Well, do you have
Yep.
anything?
No, I don't have anything. So if nobody has any questions, anybody got any questions, any comments?
Now, this is our shorter one as we catch on in a newer topic. I don't know if anybody, again, has covered anything like this, but it was laid on my spirit that we should cover how you can utilize something like this for the benefit of your relationship. It's something that I do. I'm a very, spiritual, energetic type person within our relationship. That's mainly me. And I can say I have honestly used it throughout our whole relationship from when we were young college people to now, just being actually able to put our relationship and see our relationship in a great space really does help you align to that and really do the things that need to be done in order for you to get to that. So I really, really do encourage that. And thanks again for joining us tonight.
Yeah. So we will see you all tomorrow for Marriage Fit Friday and have a topic that is geared closer to marriage and relationship. As this was, but we usually do Marriage Fit Friday to encourage marriage and keep married couples closer together.
And fit,
Yep.
like we say, for this marathon that marriage is, because it's certainly not a sprint, not a dash, not a quick race, but a marathon. So you need to be in shape and stay in shape for it.
Yep. And we're going to teach you more about that tomorrow. So
Yeah.
thank you all for joining us tonight. All say time, place. Peace.